let's bring this forward to the events that we are seeing take place now vis-a-vis the Arab Spring. Now, as you pointed out, you predicted this back in 2002, that you would see, that the world would see these fantastic things with the assistance of Al Jazeera. You know, Al Jazeera, of course, carrying the appearance of being a Middle Eastern network that the Arabs could believe in, that they could trust, that you would see these fantastic things taking place with Arabs rising up and throwing off the shackles of imperialist and colonialist powers that have been sitting on top of them now for the last half century. It has been my contention from the very beginning that this was just an extension of Israel's bigger plans for the Middle East, that these were not real revolutions that were taking place. But I'm sure that you will do a much better job explaining this to our listeners than I would. So if you would please, Imran, take it from there.
Well, I think you're right, Glenn, in your analysis that the revolutions are intended to facilitate Israeli agenda of eventual world domination. How will this take place? I gave that speech in 2002 anticipating an American attack on Iraq, which did take place in 2003, I believe. And I thought that the Arab Spring would have taken place in 2003. I was wrong. And I thought that the first country that would fall would be Jordan. And I was wrong. And I'm so happy, Glenn, to be wrong sometimes.
Okay.
I'm so happy to be wrong sometimes. It keeps my feet on the sand, on the dirt, on the dust. Yeah. But the analysis was that Israel wants to provoke these revolutions out of a sense of utter Arab frustration at oppression, utter Arab frustration at the persecution of Muslims, war on the religion, so that these revolutions, these uprisings would result in Islamic forces emerging in leadership position. So that the secular nationalist Arab leadership would be swept away. That secular nationalist Arab leadership, from the time of Jamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt and Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran and so on, and Ahmad Sukarno in Indonesia, Muhammad Ali Jinnah in Pakistan, that secular nationalist leadership had a very important role to play in the plan, and it played that role successfully. It was no longer needed. In the same way that we don't need paper currencies anymore. Paper currencies have performed the job that they were designed to perform, and they don't need them anymore. And so paper currencies are now going to disappear to be replaced with electronic money, which is, of course, the equivalent of a financial Guantanamo. Similarly, the secular nationalist leadership of the Arab world is no longer needed. What's his name? Hosni Mubarak has done his dirty work for us. We don't need him anymore. What we need now is Islamic leadership, or so-called Islamic leadership, so that the world would see Muslims in the name of Islam ruling over Egypt, for example, an Islamic government in Egypt. How will Israel benefit from an Islamic government in Egypt, which of course is around the corner? Elections have already taken place, and the Islamic parties have won the elections outright. My answer is that the Islamic parties, when they take power in these countries, whether they like it or whether they don't, would be forced to increase vocally and tangibly their support for the Palestinians.
Yes.
And in particular for the plight of the people of Gaza. And as they increase that support and they enter into tangible support and the rhetoric increases, the rhetoric of war, Israel and the media around the world can then launch a PR program, a PR offensive to captivate mankind with this lie that Islam poses a threat to mankind. It's a menace to mankind. Muslims want to take over the whole world. And Israel is in mortal danger. Israel already has her pre-planned wars against the Arabs, for example, but Israel does not want to wage these wars while appearing as a naked aggressor.
Exactly.
So Israel wants to be able to say, well, we are only defending ourselves and we are waging these wars on behalf of mankind, to save mankind from the menace of Islam. That's my explanation of the Arab uprising. But there's another part of it. There's another part of it, and that is that, and I am actually mentioning this for the first time in your program, Glenn, that Islamic political theory is one which recognizes divine sovereignty over the state. Western political theory, the modern state, has rejected divine sovereignty. Sovereignty now lies with the people. And the modern constitution around the world recognizes sovereignty of the state residing with the people. And that supreme authority and supreme law resides with Parliament, not with God and His Prophet. And these Islamic parties in the Arab world and elsewhere are monstrously misguided, pathetically misguided, and finally sorrowfully misguided, that they do not have an understanding of Western political theory. And they foolishly, Glenn, I'm sorry to be using this harsh language, but the walls are falling down, Glenn. The fire is consuming the house. I have to use the language now. They very foolishly take an Islamic movement and transform it into a political party with slogans and with party symbols, and then fight elections. Elections in which the population is recognized to be a conglomeration of individuals. No, God didn't create us as individuals. No, He has more wisdom than that. The divine wisdom never created us as a world of individuals. No. Divine wisdom created us as a world of nations and tribes. And once we were nations and tribes, there was more cohesiveness in society. Today, society is falling apart. We are living in a world that is disintegrating socially. And the political system is one in which the unit of the state would not be the individual. No. The unit of the state is the nation of the tribe. The nation of the tribe conducts its consultations within the tribe in a very refined way, in which age and maturity and wisdom and experience have precedence over youth and over inexperience. And you can't buy elections. No, you can't use glitz and glitter and pomp and the news media to brainwash people to vote for this one or that one. Not in this political system. And so the nation and the tribe and the clan will hold its own internal consultations on matters pertaining to political leadership. And then the nation or the tribe will become the unit of the state. And that unit of the state will then express itself in the decision-making process, through which the leadership is established or the leadership is replaced. That political system not only establishes stability, political and social stability, but sustains that stability. And this one has only created wars and conflicts and rivalry and tribal rivalry and bloodshed and murder all over the world. Mm-hmm. And of course the corruption of the political process. So the Islamic political parties in Egypt and in other parts of the Arab world are monstrously misguided and sorrowfully misguided in this process of theirs in which they register themselves as a political party and fight in elections. And the Western world has succeeded and is continuing to succeed in its plans to subvert Islam in this way. Mm-hmm. There's more to the analysis, but I feel I'm taking too much of your time.
Well, actually, I promised to only keep you captive for an hour.